Yo, comic community, what's going on? This is the Golden Age Guru, Jeff here. I wanted to make this video here in support of somebody who's a really great asset to the comic community. And he's got a fantastic YouTube channel called John's Comics with Kids. It's him and his two kiddos, Kate and Charlie. And so I got to meet them actually for the first time just this last weekend over at Cal Comic Con. And I gotta tell you, he's as nice in person as he is on the channel. And just a genuinely good guy. And his kids are down to earth and sweet as well. And just true comic enthusiasts. And he's been on many channels because he loves to help both, monitor the chats or just be involved in discussion. But the latest and greatest thing from John is that he's putting it out to the community to express some book that a child or a young teen can jump into to read. And that kind of got me thinking. I was like, hey, and it's not just him throwing it out there. He's actually making this an event. There's actually going to be prizes, and multiple prizes. Right now there's 3, but I'm thinking that's going to grow to more than just 3 prizes. As the amount of people that are doing it is greater, he's mentioned something about increasing the ratio of things to possibly win. Now, you don't have to do it to win anything. Really, it's just a fun idea. Putting out something that the community can maybe take from, and so that we can read both for a child or young adolescent or even yourself. So for me, I started thinking about that. What is it that I could recommend? And there isn't a lot that I read that's that age group, really, if any. Most of it's a little more mature. So I started thinking back when I was younger, okay? And there's 2 books in particular that made the biggest impact for me at that time in my age. And that would be Amazing Spider-Man 121. So I used to live in Southern California. I was born there, okay, in the Hollywood area, and I lived across the street from a 7-Eleven. I got my exposure from comics just by going to my local 7-Eleven. There's a spinner rack there. I got my Garbage Pail Kids at the time. I got my Ices, my Slurpees, my comics. And I remember at the beginning I was drawn to Daredevil, and then quickly after that, X-Men and Spider-Man. And I was into old comics almost from the start. I grew up being an artist as a kid. I drew all the time. I loved art. And quickly after being exposed to comics in my 7-Eleven, I found my nearest comic shop, which was Golden Apple Comics at the time off of Melrose. And they always had a good selection of comics, and I got to see vintage comics very early and appreciated them. I was never really big on buying brand new comics for my age at that time. It was always looking at them as buying something older. Don't know why. Maybe I just found it more appealing at the time, or what. But I remember when I was about 11 or 12, I ended up with an issue of Amazing Spider-Man 121 and 122. So I actually read 121 at that time, and I gotta tell you, by the end of it, I was floored by both issues twice. And 121 basically is Spider-Man who gets in a battle with the Green Goblin. Okay, and during this, before the battle, Green Goblin kidnaps Spider-Man's love interest, his love of his life, Gwen Stacy at the time. Okay, she's just hanging out in Peter Parker's apartment waiting for him, and he comes up through the window and gets her. And Peter Parker doesn't see this. He arrives home, okay, as Spider-Man, and sees that on the floor is a pumpkin, which is just the calling card for Green Goblin. He used to throw these exploding pumpkins, fly in this mechanical glider, just an amazing looking design for a character. Romita crushed the artwork every time, and Gil Kane did the interior too, and so I want to give him some credit. Anyways, he finds this pumpkin head, and on top of the purse that, or bag that Spider-Man had bought her for Christmas. And he ends up finding him, and he's on top of the George Washington Bridge. Green Goblin is just a terrible, evil character who's trying to get revenge on Spider-Man any way he can. So he kidnaps his love, and he has her on top of a bridge. Spider-Man who all issue has been battling with an illness because he just got back from Canada in a big battle against the Hulk and came back with something. And so he's a little weak at the moment, but he musters all his energy and strength and rushes up this bridge and lays a wallop on the Green Goblin and knocks him down and rushes up to Gwen. But just before he can get to Gwen, Green Goblin zips by and bumps her off of the bridge. She is now plummeting from the top of this huge bridge to the bottom, basically to fall into this body of water. But Spider-Man quickly shoots webs and prays that he's going to get to her in time, and he does. He saves her from hitting that water. And doing so, he's confidently pulling her up, excited that he just saved her, and his bravado and macho-ness is coming through. He's just saying how, he saved his love, and he gets her and he pulls her up and he cradles her, and he notices that she's not waking up. And actually, when you look at the panel before that he caught her with the webs, there's a snap sound after catching her, and she had snapped and is no longer alive. We just lost a major character. She has been there since issue 31, okay, and is Spider-Man's love. And that was the first time that I really saw a character or get taken out like that. I never see them just die. So that was a big deal for me. I was floored. And Spider-Man, obviously enraged, in revenge, okay, yells out that he's gonna get it. And that's how that issue ended. It ended with the death of Gwen Stacy. Obviously an iconic book, but absolutely memorable. A great read to this time. And then the next issue I had to read was 122. So I read that as well, and I remember reading it, and I can remember Spider-Man just being upset, obviously. And through this issue, he hunts Green Goblin down, finds him. And when he finds him, he lays a beating on the Green Goblin. But before he gets to that point, he actually checks himself before he goes too far and realizes, I cannot become this monster like the Green Goblin. Okay? I can't do that. I cannot become him. Alright? And chooses to instead stop and turn him into the police so he can be arrested for his crimes and face the jail time. So he tells the Green Goblin, you're going to go to jail, you're going to face the penalty for this. And the Green Goblin looks at him, okay, and says some smart butt remark, and notices that the Green Goblin's glider is charging at Spider-Man's back. Spider-Man has no idea that he's about to be hit by this glider. And as he's going on about sending the Green Goblin to jail, the Green Goblin's retorts are basically that it's not going to happen because he knows that Spidey's about to get taken out. But Spider-Man's got Spidey sense, boys and girls. So when that thing tingles, he knows to move. Spidey moves at the last moment, dodges the glider, and the glider impales the Green Goblin. We now lose two characters in back-to-back issues. Like, one of the greatest villains and one of the biggest female important characters in Spider-Man's life. And for Marvel to have the balls to do that is amazing to me. That they felt the strength in the title enough to take them out. So those were the two most influential books for me as a young kid that I ever read. And then shortly after that was the Dark Phoenix Saga, which was also pretty amazing. And to this point, the book was so influential to me, I still have it. This is my Amazing Spider-Man 122. My 121, I'm not sure what happened. I did move a couple times when I was younger. But I got this signed by Stan Lee, right there. You can see that. I even color touched it along the spine and anywhere else I could to make this thing look better, because I loved this book. Okay, so it's been with me since then, and won't go anywhere either. And you know, for me, those are the two books that I recommend as a great read, and really still appropriate because there's so much so many worse things right now that they consider to be kid appropriate. And this really wasn't visually awful or anything. It's just a tragic story of, you know, evil and love and just revenge and just classics. So read those if you can. Read them online if you want. Like I said, I stand by them. They're great, great reads. And again, John's Comics with Kids. He does a lot for the community. Enter into the contest. Post a video. Whatever it takes. Go check him out. He's good people, guys. Remember that. And also remember to geek responsibly. Support your local comic shops, guys. And we'll see you in the comic scene, all right? Take care. Good night. Love you as always.